Cowboys training camp is just around the corner, so as we've done every year here on the Cowboys Report, we're going to break down some of the top free agent targets for Dallas before training camp begins. We'll go from 10 to 1, some more notable names, kind of sorted in my preference, and I think a somewhat more realistic kind of combo preference as well. Now, if you want the Cowboys to make a move, we have proven that bullying works. It's why Jimmy Johnson is in the Ring of Honor. It's why CeeDee Lamb will get paid. If you want them to make a move, like the video for me right now. All right, number 10, and I have to put a running back on here because of the state of this running back room. I do not like it. I do not think it's a very good situation. It's Ezekiel Elliott, it's Rico Dowdle, it's Deuce Vaughn, it's Royce Freeman, it's Malik Davis. It's a bad room. I think Dalvin Cook is the biggest name available. But biggest name doesn't mean good. In fact, I think the film backs this up too, which is, by the way, where a lot of these stats come from. Like, if you want to figure out after contact stuff, the only way to do that is to watch the games and then input it. I think that's overlooked sometimes. He's bottom of the barrel in like every running back metric. He wasn't good last year. The free agent options, whether it's Dalvin Cook, Kareem Hunt, Jerick McKinnon, whatever, it's a bad group. And I think Zeke, better than all those guys. So I actually don't want them to add somebody, at least for now. Roster cut down, trade time, got some more interest. I have to put the best available free agent out there. And that's Justin Simmons. And look, he's probably too expensive. I think having the same agent as Dak Prescott, Todd France, is probably not a good thing. But if you were all in, as the Cowboys have lied about being, you would sign Justin Simmons because he's the best available free agent and he makes your team better. He is a dynamic safety still. Not the same guy he was in his prime, but he was 11th in the ESPN safety rankings. Now, those always tend to lag a year behind in terms of actually getting some of those bets right. I like Malik Hooker. I like your safety room. You're in a good spot in the secondary at the safety spot. You got 4 guys you can start, I think. I'm high on Wanye Thomas. But Simmons is a high IQ player. He can play the back end. I think he fits Mike Zimmer to a T. So I doubt you sign him. But God forbid, knock on wood, like if Malik Hooker goes down with an injury, I'm going to be screaming for Justin Simmons on the Dallas Cowboys. Now, Dallas doesn't make their moves before camp. Normally, it's a week or two in when they go, yeah, this is not going to be good enough, which they could have identified beforehand, but I digress. Will the Cowboys sign anyone before the preseason begins? Y for yes, N for no. Got to put the Saints on here, or Michael Thomas, since the former Saints receiver is the Cowboys are the betting favorite for him. But again, with a lot of these bottom tier guys, do you need them? The 2019 version ain't walking through that door. It's been 4 years, and he hasn't met his combined production yet. Hello, red flag. He's only played 4 more games in 4 years than he did in 2019. And we added games to the regular season since then. It's a huge red flag. He has not been good amid injuries. I think there's diva concerns there. There's also a legal issue that I think will be sorted out already. But let the young guys play instead. Give them a chance. Let's see what Brandon Cooks can do as a number 2 win another year with Dak Prescott. More importantly, let's see what Jalen Tolbert, Jalen Brooks, Kevontae Turpin, Ryan Flournoy. We will fall in love with one of those guys at camp. I promise you it happens every single year. Sometimes they're not very good. Who remembers John Vay Johnson? Happens every year. We go, this Jalen Brooks last year looked great in camp, right? It happens every year. So name a free agent who you guys want to sign. Sound off for me in the comments of today's show. Number 7, Yannick Ngakoue. There are ties to Mike Zimmer here, by the way, which I don't think should be overlooked. Ngakoue, you have to deploy him properly. If you put him out there and say he is our number 2 every down edge, it's not going to work. He's not a good enough run stopper. I think there's also some injury stuff that's got to get kind of vetted through from that perspective. But he's got ties. And I think if you don't feel confident in Sam Williams, if Nealon is only going to be a Dorrance Armstrong replacement, whatever, or Tank Lawrence help piece or needs time, I think he could fill that Dante Fowler role pretty well, which was really just pass rush. Now, maybe Dan Quinn, or with Dan Quinn being gone, doesn't need that, but the defensive end room is... I wish they had Isaiah Lance still, put it that way. Because Golson might be a DT, Fehoko might be a DT, then you're down to hybrids and Tyrus Wheat and Byron Vaughns, and actually maybe you do need one more edge, at least just if there's an injury or you want some extra veteran depth. Number 6, I thought about Patrick Peterson as a corner safety hybrid, thought about Xavier Howard as an outside corner. I'll go with Adoree Jackson. Now, he's had injury stuff too. I think he has the skill set to help with the nickel spot. And that could end up being your main depth need. Because I kind of don't want to put Deron Bland back at nickel. I kind of want to just keep him out there, along with Trayvon Diggs. I want to see how good that disrespected duo can be. So if something happens to Jordan Lewis, or no one else emerges, like if Nashawn Wright, Eric Scott just aren't good, I think having Adoree Jackson as your fourth corner, if Kalen Carson needs more time, as the first guy on the outside, first guy on the inside, I think there is value there. Now, the flip side is, does he want to come be a backup? I don't know if he wants to. And he's also got to be able to stay healthy. Now, if the Cowboys make a signing, we will have a video for you. We'll break down the news and give you my thoughts on it and as soon as humanly possible, whether it's at home or in the office. Hit that sub button, youtube.com/@CowboysTV. DJ Humphries, number 5 here. And there's, as a pure tackle, I don't think anyone would argue that Chuma Edoga, Matt Waletzko, Josh Ball are better than Humphries. Like, I don't think that's the case. You know? He's way better than Edoga. The numbers bear that out. But it's coming off a bad injury. And does he want to be a veteran backup? He's still kind of young. Does he want to sit out some time, go where there's a chance to start potentially, where that's wherever? I think the same conversation is valid for David Bakhtiari as well, by the way. So what do you think is the biggest need for the Dallas Cowboys right now? I've got the spot we'll get to in a little bit, but sound off in the comments. I'm going to bump Quandre Diggs to number 4 on this list, and here's why. I mentioned, maybe nickel is the main backup need. Maybe you want another smart football player, a good football player at safety. Quandre Diggs can play nickel or safety, I think, still. Maybe not at the same high level he was at his peak, but he's a good football player. And I think about it this way. What does Mike Zimmer want on defense? It's heady football players. He wants high IQ guys. That's still Quandre Diggs. So if there's an injury, which I'll emphasize again because I think this is part of this whole conversation, if you don't trust your backup cornerback room and you want another rotational safety and Diggs is willing and affordable to take that role, I'd call. Gets to come back home, and this Texas defensive back makes a lot more sense than the other one who was out of the NFL. Number 3, Lawrence Guy. This DT room is bad, guys. Like I'm sorry to be Mr. Negative and be like sounding the alarms every day. This is a bad room. Oso Odighizuwa is a good football player. He has not consistently been a great football player, but that's fine. He's a starting caliber defensive tackle. I don't know if you have another starting caliber DT on your roster. I don't know what Mozzie Smith is. I'm hopeful, but is he going to be out there for the start of camp? Because if he ain't, red flag alert. How's he going to get that weight back on? Can Chauncey Golston and Junior Fehoko play DT full-time? Are they just, lesser versions of Tyrone Crawford? Is a 7th-round pick in Justin Rogers going to help you? You have to kick Marshawn Nealand inside, play him out of position? We make a big deal about stopping the run. If Mozzie and Rogers aren't good, you've got one 300-pound DT on your roster that's competent. It ain't Carl Davis. Nealand, Golston, and Fehoko ain't 300. Look, Lawrence Guy is not a superstar caliber. The numbers do not jump off the screen for you. But I think you can do some run-stopping stuff. And I'm desperate. I was raising this alarm in no free agency. I didn't know how the Cowboys were going to add DT help in free agency. Well, they didn't. Like your best UFL players like Daniel Wise, who was a Cowboy years ago. It's not a good batch. So will the Cowboys add another defensive tackle? 1 for yes, 0 for no. Number 2, Linval Joseph. It's the same thing as Lawrence Guy. This is not a player in his prime anymore. He does have ties to Mike, so that's why he's above Lawrence Guy. He's a big hog molly in the middle. I am concerned that Fatty's only will go down as the biggest failure of my entire life. But this is the same thing. I am desperate for a defensive tackle. I don't have the bodies right now. And I am very concerned and outright confused of what the plan is right now at that spot. You probably knew who number 1 was going to be. It's Stephon Gilmore. Do we even need to talk about this one? Like, everyone knows him. We've talked about him a lot. I don't know if it's going to go down, but he's the one free agent left unsigned from your team because I don't want to bring back J-Ron Curse. I think makes sense. So if he wants to come back and the roll of money work out, yeah, I'm still down.